there on the right and on the left there was someone else.
Yeah. Oh,
Got
oh,
Oh, but I just called it.
oh, it's a
I
full
called
win.
it. I called it.
It's a
Let's
full
go.
win.
Thanks for
Welcome, lads, to. Well, I don't know quite what to call this. Let's just call it an experiment for now. But yeah, just a showcase of a league race which I had recently around the circuit of Imola. And yeah, it was quite an eventful one, so I thought might just, showcase what a bizarre turn of events this race had. Uh, yeah, so as we ride on board into qualifying, it's a short quali session, so around 17 minutes to, just do your laps around the circuit and try to get the best possible, setting in the grid. But yeah, early days and it's a wet quali, so the track will be ramping up throughout the session. I think it's going to get drier as it goes through. So these first few laps is sort of important as I just try to get into a flow and understand the conditions and understand how the car is responding to it. But finishing off the first banker into the last sector, we get a decent run in that chicane, which easily has a lot of time if you do manage to nail it. Not quite nailing the last two corners there, but across the line in its provisional pole with a 26.0. I think that was 8 tenths quicker at the moment. So yeah, pretty good lap into the second lap in a row. So the ERS doesn't drain as quick. We have a huge moment there, as you saw at I think Variante Alta. It's called that chicane. So I don't know how I managed to keep the car in check, but yeah, it was a huge snap of oversteer on the exit. Into the last two corners, we swing it round, try to punch the bar down across the line 2.5 tenths up and improve further on to a 25.8. So yeah, you can just see the evolution of the track as the session is progressing, and we are currently on our fourth flyer here. The tires are absolutely being tortured, and we're just going to carry this momentum through the session. And after the first two corners in itself, with 2.5 tenths up, which just goes to show how much the track is sort of evolved at this stage of the session. Into Tosa, if I'm not wrong, getting the line really wrong there, not quite getting a good exit, but we pushed through. Still improving. I think any laps you do right now, you're going to improve because you're just going to be carrying that much more speed around these corners now. The track is drying up, so yeah, it was just important to just stay out on track and just keep doing lap after lap. Especially very important in a wet session. So yeah, it really did help with the momentum into the Variante Alta chicane, getting another snap of oversteer, but not as massive as the one which we had in the previous lap. That was easily a tenth and a half. So yeah, pushing through now into the last two corners, maximizing the braking a bit on the curb as well now, as the curbs aren't as slick as they used to be at the start of the session. So yeah, taking those risks in the dire stages of qualifying. 7.5 minutes to go. Another provision pole lap with 25.0. So yeah, things are looking good. My teammate simply in the McLaren right behind as well. So yeah, good showcase from him as well. And yeah, 6.5 minutes to go. And at this stage, I think I was at a crossroads, because what I found out is that even though I had the momentum going into these laps which I was doing, I think just the tires were getting, worn out way too much. And because of that, as you can see right now, we push a bit too hard into the first chicane. On the exit, we sort of, punch the power down a bit too early, get too trigger happy, if you will, and lose the car almost instantly. Managed to save it, but yeah, that was almost into the wall right there. And just goes to show that the tires aren't bulletproof even in the wet in qualifying. So now starting our last lap. So essentially the track is at its best right now. Whoever's going to do their lap the last, is going to easily have the best track, if you were to put it that way, because yeah, the track is just in a very good condition right now to set a good lap time. Into the first chicane we go, straddling the curbs, and you can see that's not a very nice line, and we lose a lot of time on the exit. And it's a shocking turn 1 and 2. We lose all that time, all that momentum into this lap, and it's just a write off, and I sort of lift off already. Just showing that yeah, this lap was just done. There was nothing left in it, and we had no way to get that lap back.
About
As
to start, 9 o'clock.
Which match?
City Arsenal.
Oh. Actually, I can watch that. If someone streams it, I can actually watch.
Just
What
bit of
I can watch it on
football talk with the boys there. City Arsenal were playing that night, so
Not going on right now. It starts at 9.
Oh, okay. When
Which
it's,
cricketer?
Football.
no.
Football.
Football.
Oh my
Cricket, I
god.
don't think there's any big match today.
Hey, I'm
Hey,
P11.
fucker, CSK is playing.
On Lumbra.
Bro, there's Arsenal versus Man City.
yeah, nice little chat with the boys there regarding the real life sport events. But yeah, forwarding to the race start. Lonely old, well, not quite lonely, P8 amongst the mid pack, a terrible place to start, especially in a wet start. Extreme gets lagged out there for a second, which really puts me off, and
Oh,
yeah,
Moto,
you can see skill issue at full display right there as we sort of turn the car around and
my
hang our head in shame after spinning out on lap 1. But yeah, no worries, we do push on, and surely you will see that we actually had some good pace in this one, but you know, that spin really did throw a spanner in the works. But going into Tosa now and trying to navigate, you know, just reset, if you will, put your cool head on and just try to damage limitate what happened at the start. So filtering through sector 2, you can see a gaggle of cars ahead, and we're gaining on them very rapidly through this very mechanical section, and then getting a decent exit out of the Aqua Minerale corner. A destroyer Drac and few drives in front of him was sort of, you know, bunching up into each other. Over here we have a terrible chicane, but for some reason Drac on the exit is extremely slow, and we sort of touch his rear there, unfortunately. But now sizing up a move on the brakes, extremely late there. I don't know how we kept it on track, but just about, I think enough space was left there. Bit of a dive bomb, but yeah, very late on the brakes, and I think it was a decent move in the end of it. Heading on to lap 2 now. We can see one of the drivers just had an offing there. I think that was Archit who went off at the first chicane. Very easy to do so, with the curves being very, very treacherous. This circuit, it might look easy on paper. It's probably one of the most tricky circuits to navigate on this game because of how you know, narrow the track is, and well, how weird the handling of the car is in the wet conditions as well. And yeah, caught in 4K right there. Bit of a jihad moment. You know, Osama bin Russell cosplay full on display right there. We just send it down the inside, even though we had no right to do so. And yeah, not a good look whatsoever. We got damage from that as well, and surely the stewards are gonna have a look at that. But yeah, we just sort of put our mind off of it and push on through, because that's all we can do right now. Damage limited after being caught up in several incidents already. And fast forwarding to lap 4, still with the damaged front wing on our car, and we find ourselves behind the Ferrari of Ritesh, get a decent exit out of the chicane and get the move done. So yeah, ideally that's how I'd like to pass everyone here on the exit, because you just don't lose any time at all. But yeah, with Imola being just so narrow, it's really challenging to do that. Using a bit of ERS spam over here to get past the Haas, and you will see how this right here, this incident comes back to bite us later on in the race, because I had to just get these moves done quickly to get back to the top of the pack, and in turn I just had to spam my ERS. I had no other option on the straights, because even though we did go with a low downforce setup, as Darky just lets us through there. Didn't want to waste any time fighting, and I think if we would have just been losing a lot of time, both of us, just trying to, you know, fight it out. And Yeah, it was a pretty sensible decision right there to just swap positions and yeah. So coming back to what I was saying, I think our setup was quite low on the wings because I thought it was going to be dry, and I tried to risk it with low down for setup and try to get a straight line advantage on the drivers around me. But yeah, with the wet session both for qualifying and the race.
Auto pit, pit, pit.
Yep, safety car has arrived, and it's quite a perfect time for a safety car as we get a free wing change, not quite a free pit stop because we do lose positions on the exit of the pit lane, but the free wing change was integral to what's going to happen and how this session is going to play out in the latter stages, because this just gave us all our points of downforce back which we were missing in the first stint, and we could actually get some moves done properly and quickly this time without being held up a lot. So yeah, very timely safety car for us there, and it just works out for us as you will see in a few laps time.
We tried to fuck around with Dan last time. Dan overtook him.
And skipping ahead to lap 10, we're on board with the safety car restart in the 10th lap. Yeah, we had quite a punched up restart right now. The leader, my teammate Simply, was playing some mind games with the field, and it sort of worked for him as he got the jump on almost everyone, and so did Sandeep on us because we lost time there and we couldn't quite make any inroads on the exit of the last corner either. So currently on the back foot at the restart, not a very nice one. We look to push on through, and if you can see the track map ahead, there's a big gaggle of cars in front considering it's a safety car restart. So everyone's going to be out for glory right now trying to get their positions ASAP. So heading into the second chicane, very treacherous in these conditions where you flick the car in, and then you can see we're just squabbling for position where to put the nose. We have no clue. We're trying different lines and whatnot to try and get the cut back on the drivers in front. Govind gets a huge snap of oversteer, causing him to lose time on the exit there, and then he sort of glues onto our car. I'm not quite sure how that works, but it's a known bug in the franchise for quite a long time. But yeah, we just push on through and
Yeah, now I'm getting
try to
the
get
auto
the
pit.
cutback line on the exit of Aqua Minerale. They're not quite working for us. Uphill corner, very hard to put the power down. You can see one of the alphas up in front has gone off track, and to avoid him we get a 3-second time penalty, and then you guys are probably wondering what on earth that was, but I think the driver Sandeep had an issue with an off track illegal overtake because the alpha had gone off track and he tried to overtake him. So yeah, I think he just tried to lift off to let Extreme back through, and in turn we sort of almost got caught out going into the back of him, but we do quite well to avoid him there. Into lap 12 now. The carnage and the action is still not over, folks. There's more going on in front. You can see the gaggle of cars is fighting for traction. The rear wheels are just slipping out everywhere, and SSJ Assassin gets a huge snap of oversteer on the exit of Aqua Minerale, and that's another position we gain on the driver in front. So, and then next up is the Ferrari of Aradhya Gupta, as another very quick and competent driver, especially in these treacherous conditions. But heading into this last corner, we try to get a good exit on him, and we do actually get a great exit. And here's another mistake which ended up costing us quite a bit in the end of the race. We use quite a bit of ERS right now. It helps us get past him. But soon enough you'll come to see why this decision in hindsight wasn't quite very smart. But yeah, it's a move done, and that's all I was focusing on at this stage of the race right now.
Okay, mate, we might need to look at a new race strategy after that. I've got some options for you, so go and check your MFD.
And then skipping ahead another lap, or maybe I think it's the same lap, I'm not quite sure. Another gaggle of cars in front of us. Wicked Vicky not getting a decent exit, and I think we go for a very late dive bomb down the inside here, leaving just about enough space, and then trying to go around the outside. We pick up another warning, but surely Yeah, that should be removed easily because we just had to go off track to leave him the amount of space required. And yeah, another decent move there. Bit on the aggressive side, but I think overall it looked quite fine, all right to me there. On board with our car again, lap 14, hounding the rear of this Aston Martin in front of us. Catty looking, he's still on the old tires. I think another thing I forgot to mention is, as I think you'll hear Shawshank say in the VC as well, a lot of drivers are trying to do a no stop and not pitting essentially for new tires under the safety car. So Catty was one of these drivers and his tires are completely short, as you can see right now. He's just struggling on the exit of every corner. And then he sort of outbrakes himself and goes into us. Yeah, bit of adrenaline there in the background from us there, but no harm done. And then Catty is still trying to keep his nose in there, and then again just gets his car stuck to ours. And I think he sort of ricocheted off a car into the Armco on the right. I have no clue what happened there, but yeah, it looked like he sort of turned in a bit too early, even though our nose is in front. So yeah, gonna have to leave that for the stewards to decide. And then now another contender not spoken about too much in this race, Helium. Very quick drive, he goes past us, but then we sort of get a very good braking zone and try to get a switchback down on him all the way down the inside and into the second chicane. We sort of beat the blast of the late breakers and put our nose in there and get the move done. A pretty neat move right there, and I think that move, looking back, was crucial because it probably would have costed us a lot of time to just hang back behind him for one more lap.
Being held up so much.
And now skipping ahead to lap 16, you can see me complaining that I was being held up a lot by the drivers in front. And yeah, it was costing me a lot of time, but can't do anything about that. So just making our way through the grid. And up next is Wicked Vicky in the Alpine. He goes defensive at the entry of this hairpin, which sort of allows us to get a good exit on the get a good switchback line, but we don't quite put the power down quick enough for that, and still hang back for a few more corners. Now into this technical section. Goes downhill, you want to brake, make sure you straight line the braking, and then sort of trying to get another switchback line. Again, not quite working for us, but yeah, we're still keeping him occupied in his mirrors, and yeah, he's gonna have us all over the back of him all this while. And I think that's just really important in racing. Just put your nose there, make sure you're just let them know that you're right behind them, and not quite go for an aggressive, outrageous dive bomb as we've seen ourselves do multiple times in this race. But just to bide your time and be patient with it. But yeah, surely we do all let the demons inside us out at some point. But pushing now through lap 17. Still behind the Alpine of Wicked Vicky right now. He gets a moment on the exit of this corner. And again, we can't quite put the power down quick enough. I don't know what it was about my line through that section, but it was just not enough to be close to him. But we use a lot of ERS over here and sort of slip on by. And again, that ERS usage is going to come at a premium. Surely it's going to hamper us in the latter stages, but it was crucial that we used it to get past and not get held behind. Now on to King James, who's currently a championship rival. So yeah, this was quite a good battle into the technical sections of this track, still putting our nose in there. King James also another one of the drivers who didn't pit for a fresh set of tires. He was also no stopping it, so evidently his tires were absolutely short as well. And we're not able to conceive that pace difference very well because we just completely outbrake ourselves into his rear. But hopefully we sort of lift off in the exit to make him keep that position in front. And now into this last corner, we stop playing nice and send it down the inside. Then I think our nose was just about in front, and we get the position done. Not quite a very clean move, but rubbing is racing at the end of it. And but as you can see, all that ERS usage has in fact come at a premium, as everyone and their family goes past us, but we still stick our nose in their foot opposite lock through that corner and sort of stick the move on Helium, even though he was ahead there. And I have no clue how the car didn't spin out of control, because we were full opposite lock in that section, on top of the sausage curb as well. Yeah, I had no clue how the car was on track after that, but yeah, pushing on. Still finding ourselves behind King James, and this is really happening our race right now, because the pace difference is just so monumentally large right now that if he was not there, we would be catching simply at a rate of at least a second and a half per lap. But yeah, props to King James. He was just putting on a great defensive show. And we're still trying to get a move done. And on this exit, we sort of spam our ERS and try to put our nose in, and then pull off, pull back, and you'll come to realize why that should have been done again. I'll just let you watch what happens in the next lap, and yeah.
You're in a good position, just hold that, you'll get PA'd.
I'm being held up. Pushing on through now, still all over the behind of King James's Red Bull car, and we skip ahead to the next lap, lap 21, and again we're just all over the rear of the Red Bull, and I think our patience is running slightly thin, because yeah, I'll just let it play out as to what happens, and you guys can be the judge of it.
My current pay is 75.
Yeah, so if you can tell very evidently, we yet again overshoot that fast left-hander and sort of poke our nose in when we shouldn't have. Essentially tapping his rear, and then he tries to counter steer and save it, which he does. But then while doing so, we sort of collect him. So not quite sure as to what happened in the aftermath, but yeah, the initial contact was definitely on us, and yeah, it's another very dodgy move that we've made in this race. Skipping now forward to lap 22, again finding ourselves behind Wicked Vicky after that kerfuffle with King James there, where Helium and Vicky both slipped on by. So yeah, those guys have probably had a huge smile on their faces when they saw that, because yeah, two easy positions for them, and they just slipped on by. But we're still keeping a nose in there, and we've caught up back to them again. And you can see still hot under the collar of the Alpine in front. Now at this stage our tires were sort of falling apart, I won't lie, even though we did pit to fresh inters. Just the constant battling through and through the race was just really running the tires thin. So the rear tires especially were completely short by the end of it, as you'll see, but right now also the tire wear was quite rapid. And I think you can tell even the drivers in front are sort of struggling on the exits every now and then, trying to put the power down. On the braking again, we're sort of pushing our luck way too much, tapping the rear, and then Vicky really slow on the exit there. We have nowhere to go essentially, and I think he just lets us through in the end of it. And yeah, not quite sure what happened there. I think we just sort of pushed a bit too hard in the braking zone and tapped him in the rear. And then I think he just thought it'd be better to let me through and not to waste any more time with that. So yeah, as we have the next car on site is Helium, currently chasing him, and yeah, I think now it's time we move on to more consistent lap times, and you can see we do 26.5 in the previous one, and then we sort of repeat that, do 26.1, so quite a bit off. And then lap 26, we sort of do 26.5. Again, falling off quite a bit. Tires are completely falling off slower and slower. But then we find a stage where the tires sort of stagnate, and we do 26.2, and now you'll see a theme of the same relative lap times being, occurred again and again throughout this remaining session. 26.2 again, so within the 10th. And we were just constantly doing those consistent lap times, which is ever so crucial to just, stay within the slipstream of the Williams in front. And now getting ready for the final 2 laps of the race. It's been a long and chaotic one, but I think the ending of this just takes the cake as to what league racing in Imola is like, especially in the wet. And I'm just gonna shut up and let these last 2 laps just play out, and you guys can enjoy the engine noises.
Owen, my god, man, you can't just park at the apex like that. It's not fair. Hey! Oh my god, he brake checked. He brake checked. He brake checked. 30 can't. Uh-oh. You're not getting away. Five seconds, 2 laps, not possible.
There's been an incident on track, but officials aren't looking to push for a safety car right now. Just be careful.
Why did he retire now? He retired.
So this rain could be with us for a while. Light rain conditions for the foreseeable future.
Engine spit, okay.
Right, we've got enough fuel for 3 more laps.
And having witnessed that pandemonium at the end of lap 31, yeah, you can put your thoughts in the comments down below. I think now, after having a cool down, that it's a racing incident. It's not quite anyone's out and out fault there,
Even the
but it's fully pandemonium on the last lap, because we essentially threw away an easy 1-2 for what can be probably a 4 or 5 or a P6 and 8 between me and Simply there. And yeah, the tensions are running high, but I think at the end of it, it's racing, and rubbing is racing. Things do tend to happen, and I think that's just a wrap on this very chaotic Imola league race which we had. So yeah, it's the first time I'm trying to do something, try out a new format. So let me know if you guys want to see more of this, and hopefully I can see you guys next time, as I'm going to leave you with a few clips from the race. Adios.